To be able to discern between the fundamental truth of what you are and the dream of what you are is a life-changing realization. I live in my own little dream world, and so do you. And I realize that I have no way to experience and know the world apart from my dream world. And there never has been any other world that I've experienced apart from my dream world. And this is comprehensive and all-inclusive. Even now, I know that I have no way to experience where we are. I have all sorts of ideas. I'm not ignorant. I know I can say we're in Arlington, we're in Massachusetts, we're in the United States, or we're in North America, we're on planet Earth, we're in our solar system, we're in what's called the Milky Way galaxy. And beyond that, we're one of billions of galaxies, apparently. But as soon as we ask, what does that mean? It's all relative knowledge. Arlington is relative to Burlington, or relative to Cambridge. It has no independent existence apart from other ideas. So I realize that all ideas which define and describe my experience, even now, being here in a talk on non-duality, or Advaita, or Zen, or Dzogchen, or Mahamudra, or Taoism, whatever you want to call it. This is my own little dream world that I'm experiencing, because I know that there is no objective reality. The moment I wake up in the morning, I realize I'm living a dream. I'm in a dream world. I have no way to know what's happening apart from my ideas of what's happening. So if my ideas say there's a problem, then I experience a problem, but I know that there's no such thing as a problem. I know we're in Arlington, Massachusetts right now, but I know there's no such thing as Arlington. Apart from Burlington, Cambridge, there is no absolute reality. So even my problems have no absolute reality, and yet they appear. So I know I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming that things are good, and I dream that things are bad. It doesn't matter what I'm dreaming. A dream is a dream. There is no other experience apart from my dream world. And I know it's the same for you. This is all we have, is a dream world. If we're asleep and become aware of a dream, it's called lucid dreaming while asleep. If we're awake while dreaming, it's called lucid dreaming while awake. There's no difference. It's the same process of mind. As soon as you realize that you're dreaming, you're awake to the dream. So in my own direct experience, I know that I'm living in my own little dream world. That's all there is. There's no way out of this dream. Because any way out of the dream would be part of the dream going to another part of the dream. And this dream includes the sense of individuality, the sense of being a separate person, which is a dream. So what to do with the dream? There's nothing to do. And how do you get out of the dream? That would just be part of a dream. So we come up with this dream called awakening, liberation, and enlightenment. It's all part of the dream. There's the dream of suffering, the dream of seeking, and the dream of enlightenment. I'm free of all of it. It's all a dream. I live in my own little dream world. I have no way out. I'm dreaming right now. And that's all there is a dream. I can find nothing. The reality of my experience, and I'm not denying the reality of this experience right now, but it's a dream. Reality is a dream, and a dream is reality, and there's no difference. But knowing that it's a dream, knowing that the reality of my experience here now is a dream, I can't believe in the suffering, and I can't believe in seeking, and I can't believe in enlightenment, because I know it's all a dream. So it's helpful to be able to discern in your own direct experience between the fundamental truth of what we are, which is this aware presence here and now, and our relative nature of mind, which is experience. It's helpful to do that. This is really simple, but this can have a powerful effect on your ability to discern between the fundamental truth of what we are and the dream of what we are. You'll see this and know this in your own direct experience right now, and then it will continue, it will become more and more obvious to you over time. Once you see something and you know something is real and true, it has a powerful effect on your experience and will continue to influence your experience over time. So this is the power of a simple metaphor or analogy that we can use. It's helpful to be able to discern between the fundamental truth of what we are that cannot be questioned out of existence. If you know something is fundamentally true, and you cannot deny it, you cannot wiggle your way out of it, you cannot logically twist yourself out of it. You know in your own direct experience when something is true, when it can't be proven false, and you're absolutely convinced, okay, this is the fundamental truth. And you can continue to prove it to yourself over and over again over time. So then you may feel comfortable calling it the fundamental truth of what you are, because you've proven it to yourself in your own direct experience. And one of the fundamental truths that has been pointed out in the various spiritual traditions for hundreds of years and thousands of years is the fundamental truth of what we are is this present moment of aware presence. There's this awareness, this consciousness here now. This is the fundamental truth of what I am. So we've all heard this. That's not a surprise to anyone. Now, to prove it in your own direct experience can be very beneficial, and then to be able to discern between this fundamental truth of what we are and knowing it directly, to being absolutely convinced, and then being able to discern between this fundamental truth of what we are and what's called the dream, or the relative experience, or the dream of mind of what we are. And we've all heard that term too. That the fundamental truth of what we are is the only truth of what we are, this present moment of aware presence. And we've also heard that everything else, the world of experience, is illusion, or maya, or dream. We've all heard these terms too. There's nothing new here. So do you see the power and the benefit in your own direct experience of being able to discern between the two? So to be able to discern between the fundamental truth of what you are and the dream of what you are is a life-changing capacity, or a life-changing realization. Anything that can facilitate your capacity to discern between the fundamental truth of what you are and the relative illusion can be very helpful and have a powerful impact on your daily experience. So we can use anything. We can use words, and we can use metaphors, we can use poetry, we can use philosophy and metaphysical philosophy, or we can use a flashlight. So what we'll do right now is notice something in your own direct experience. We'll notice the flashlight, and the flashlight will be used as an analogy or a metaphor or an example of the fundamental truth of what we are, this aware presence or this consciousness. So notice in your own direct experience what's happening as we sort of do this. And it's very simple. There's nothing complicated about it. But notice how you'll experience what's being presented in your own direct experience. So take it in as your own direct experience. And just notice there's something about this light. And you look at the light and how it shines on various objects. It can shine on the timer. And it can shine on the jar of peanuts. Now it's shining on the jar of peanuts. And the light remains the same. The light isn't changing. The object in the light has changed. And the light shines on the timer. So the light is shining on the timer. Isn't this fun? So now the light is shining on the timer. Now the light hasn't changed, has it? Now the light is shining on the bottle of water. So the objects have changed, haven't they? There are different objects. Has the light changed at all? So the light can move anywhere. Now it just moves on the floor. The light is still the same. The object has changed, hasn't it? So this light is the light of consciousness. And this light can shine anywhere. It can shine up. It can shine down. It can shine out front. It can shine everywhere, doesn't it? So this light doesn't change, does it? It can shine everywhere. So this light doesn't change, does it? But the objects upon which the light was shined were changing, weren't they? So notice something about yourself right now. Notice that something is looking out through your eyes right now. There's something looking out through your eyes. And notice how your eyes move. The seeing sees different objects, doesn't it? So this is consciousness. There's consciousness of seeing, and the objects of the seeing will change. And also this is consciousness of hearing. Consciousness. Notice how the consciousness doesn't change. Now the sounds change. You can hear the jar touch the table. You hear my voice. Notice how the consciousness that's aware of the sounds of the peanuts in the jar, there's consciousness of those sounds, isn't there? The sounds are changing, aren't they? But the consciousness isn't changing, is it? It's the same. There's this presence of awareness here now. This is discerning between our relative nature of consciousness. Because notice how this consciousness is still here now, and it hasn't changed at all, has it? So there's this consciousness, or this presence awareness that's fully aware of all of the sensations of your body. And you may notice your hands and feet are warm or cold. There's consciousness of the sensations of your body. Now the temperature of your body changes. It can go from cold to warm, warm to cold, to just right. The consciousness doesn't change. There's always something that's aware. The sights and sounds are always changing. Emotions, your emotions are always changing, aren't they? The emotions are always changing. Your thoughts are always changing. Your experiences are always changing. So your world of experience is always changing. And this light of consciousness that we are is always shining. It's shining on everything. Even in darkness, if you turn out all the lights, the consciousness is aware of darkness. So this is not the light of a flashlight. This is consciousness that's beyond darkness and light. This consciousness is aware of everything. It's aware of sounds upstairs. It's aware of these words. It's aware of the candle. And notice how the consciousness isn't changing at all. But the content of consciousness is always changing. Thoughts change, emotions change, sensations change, sounds change, sights change. The consciousness, this light of consciousness, is unchanging, isn't it? So notice this in your own direct experience. Notice this about yourself. This which doesn't change. It's simply present and aware. Now is this consciousness that's aware right now the same consciousness that was aware before we began this little investigation? It's just simply present and aware, isn't it? So it's timeless and changeless. It's not changing at all. It's here and now, present and aware. Now you may notice that by noticing this presence of awareness, noticing the fact of consciousness, noticing, giving attention to this consciousness, giving attention to the light, you may notice a natural relaxation response of your mind and body by giving attention to the light of consciousness. Because when attention is given to the light of consciousness, attention is released from the objects of consciousness. There's a relaxation of our experience. The emotions relax, the thoughts relax, the sensations of the body relax. Your experience relaxes because we're no longer zoomed in on and focused in on the objects of consciousness, which are always changing. And you notice a palpable difference in your direct experience when the consciousness or the light is zoomed in on emotions and trying to manipulate and control emotions. It's very stressful, isn't it? It creates tension in the mind and body. By zooming in on and focusing in on the emotions, it creates a natural tension in the mind and body. By zooming in on and focusing in on the thought stream, there can be a sense of tension in the mind and body. By focusing in on thought stories, emotional stories, by taking this light of consciousness and zooming in on our thought stories, our emotional stories, our worries and concerns, there's a natural tension of the mind and body, and you can notice this in your own direct experience. And then notice the difference when there's a relaxation of the mind and body. When there's a realization, there's this aware presence here now. So it's as if this light that's shining out through your eyes right now, there's a light of consciousness that's shining out through your eyes right now. When this light of consciousness that's shining out through your eyes looks in the mirror and looks back at itself and realizes, I am this consciousness. This consciousness is what I am. When this light of consciousness recognizes itself and becomes aware of itself, abides in itself, relaxes into itself, there's a natural release of the emotions. There's a natural release of the thoughts. There's a natural release of the sensations. There's a natural release of the thought stories and the emotional stories. There's a natural release of all of the objects of consciousness. And now the objects of consciousness, you'll find, will flow through you naturally. They'll flow through the light of this consciousness. And you'll know yourself as this expansive light of consciousness. I am this light of consciousness. I am unchanging. I'm timeless. I'm infinite. I am not limited. I am not restricted by my emotions, my thoughts, my sensations. I'm not limited or restricted by thought stories, emotional stories, or beliefs. I am unlimited. I am always present and aware. So, being able to simply discern between our timeless, unchanging nature, noticing ourselves as the light of consciousness. Notice how the light of consciousness is shining through your eyes right now. Can you see? This is the light of consciousness shining through your eyes. Can you hear? This is the light of consciousness listening through your ears, seeing through your eyes, sensing through your body. So coming back to or recognizing our timeless nature, this aware presence that's always with you as you, you'll notice a natural relaxation response of the mind and body. Because this light of consciousness is no longer zoomed in on and focused in on individual objects of consciousness. So there's a natural relaxation response of the mind and body. This is discerning between our fundamental true nature, or the fundamental truth of what we are, that's timeless and changeless, and discerning between that and our changing nature, our relative nature, which is our mind, our thought stories, our emotional stories, and our physical sensations. Being able to discern between the reality, the truth of what we are. I am the light of consciousness, timeless and unchanging. This is my fundamental nature. And noticing that all objects of consciousness, all thoughts, emotions, and sensations, all of the human experience, you may feel comfortable saying, is a dream world. Not to believe that it's a dream world, but it may become more and more obvious as you come back to the truth. The more you come back to this fundamental truth of what we are, that there's this light of consciousness listening through your ears now, there's this light of consciousness shining out through your eyes. Coming back to this fundamental truth, it becomes very easy to discern between this fundamental truth and the dream world we call our life. And it also may become more and more obvious that this fundamental truth, this light of consciousness, is experienced as a sense of peace, a sense of contentment, a sense of well-being, a sense of love. And you may also notice that coming back to this light of consciousness, that this light of consciousness that's shining out through your eyes right now, you may feel more comfortable saying and realizing that this light of consciousness is pure intelligence. It's universal intelligence shining out through these eyes, listening through these ears. That this light of consciousness is universal life, that it's infinite, eternal, universal life, that it's universal intelligence. And you'll know yourself as this light of consciousness, which is universal intelligence, which is infinite, eternal, universal life, or infinite, timeless, universal life. And I am this light of consciousness. It's always with me. And you can prove this to yourself over and over again, anywhere, anytime. This where presence is always with you at any given point in time. You can stop and notice that there is this consciousness shining out through your eyes, listening through your ears, sensing through your body. And this is the fundamental truth of what we are. And everything else is a dream.